A friend gifted me with a sourdough starter this weekend, and I have never worked with sourdough before. So I was looking for a recipe and still thinking about those English muffins that let me down last week. So I found a recipe for crumpets. Somehow that led to me greasing a pig at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. I can't really explain. Just watch the video. The lineup for the crumpet recipe includes sugar, baking powder, salt. We're going to use some butter to grease the pan, and that is a beautiful sourdough starter. This crumpet recipe starts with a starter. A friend of mine gave me a sourdough starter, and I've never really worked with sourdough before. What I did not realize is that much like pets or children, you have to feed it to keep it alive. And the feeding process is interesting. You dump off all but a half a cup of the starter and then feed it some flour and water. Well, with that dumpage, this is a perfect recipe to keep it from going to waste. So this recipe starts out with 1 cup of the sourdough starter, and we're going to mix in some sugar, baking powder, and salt. I have mixed up the sourdough starter with the baking powder and sugar, and I'm ready to get going. To keep these crumpets from spreading, you want to put them in a mold. You could use a cookie cutter, but I don't have a cookie cutter that doesn't have a handle. What I do have is this pig. I don't know why I have this pig cookie cutter in my kitchen, but I do. And so I have greased this pig, and now I'm going to grease the pan and place the crumpet batter into the mold. This should go pretty quick. Let's see how we do. Into the pan. We're going to wait for it to bubble. And because we greased the inside of that mold, you should see the crumpet start to pull away from the sides when it's ready to turn. This little crumpet has been bubbling away on top of the stove for about 3 minutes now. I'm waiting for it to pull away from the sides of the mold so that I can lift the mold off and flip it. Hey, easier said than done. The mold wasn't really lifting, so I just flipped the whole crumpet, mold and all. Gave it another minute, and now I'm going to lift one-handed. I said I'm gonna lift the ring. There we go. And we'll give it just another minute. Looking good. Once your crumpets come out of the pan, you want to toast them. I just popped mine under the broiler for a minute, and while that was happening, I fed my starter. It's been a while since I've had another mouth to feed in this house. So I feel pretty accomplished for early in the morning. And I also have some of that fantastic raspberry jam left over from the failed English muffins experiment. Oh my God, these are awesome. It's got those holes that I was actually looking for, and I made English muffins the other day. Yeah, this recipe is a keeper. So I hope you will try this crumpet recipe, or in my case, crumpigs. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.